this relationship isn't working for me. I do have to stop our contract, which was really difficult. But afterward, you feel that weight lifted. And then something else comes along and you're like, oh, I needed to free up this space to get this other client who actually appreciates me.
Welcome to Marketing Your Way podcast, a show for women in marketing and creative fields who are ready to rethink what's next. I'm your host, Anastasia Mann, marketing strategist, agency owner, career mentor, and once upon a time, a corporate VP of marketing. This is your go-to space for career reinvention, whether that means launching your own business, pivoting into freelance, or finding a role that finally feels like a fit. Each week, I bring you honest stories, actionable strategies, and mindset tools to help you move forward with clarity and confidence. We'll also dive into what's actually working in marketing right now, from personal branding and client acquisition to AI tools and emerging trends shaping the future of our industry. And just in case you're wondering, yes, this podcast comes with a Ukrainian accent and a whole lot of straight talk, because it's time to build a career that works for you. Let's dive in. Today's episode is for every woman who has ever wondered, could I turn this freelance thing into something bigger? My guest is Cara Chatellier, the founder and creative director of Bubbly Creative, a boutique digital marketing agency that helps women-led brands in the health and wellness space grow with ease, personality, and purpose. Cara's journey began in Madrid with just one client and a laptop. Today, she leads a fully remote, women-run team across 2 states, all while keeping marketing fun and values-driven. In this episode, we talk about the moment she realized her business was bigger than her, how she built a collaborative, remote-first team culture, her go-to tiny marketing fixes that make a big impact, and how she's using AI without losing the human touch. If you're craving a more sustainable, soulful way to grow your business, this one is for you. Let's dive in. Cara, welcome to Marketing Your Way podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. Could you please tell us a little bit who is Cara Chatellier? What do you do? And let's try to make it fun.
Okay, perfect. I'll get started. First of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Cara Chatellier. I live in New York. I live in Brooklyn. My company is Bubbly Creative, and we are a boutique digital marketing agency. We primarily work with female founders in the health and wellness space, and our goal is to make their brands pop with digital marketing strategies that are unique to them. And really our overall goal is to make marketing fun and bring a little pop to it, a little sparkle, that kind of thing.
I love it. Your personality speaks to that. And I love that the name matches your personality.
It was intentional, I will say that.
Awesome. So, Cara, let's rewind a little bit. How did your career in marketing begin?
Sure. So I actually graduated peak recession. So 2009, I started my career in sales because there were no other jobs. So it was basically like, if you're outgoing, then you go into sales. And I started doing cold calling. I was selling advertising, and that was incredibly difficult, but it made me quite resilient and kind of taught me to think on my feet a lot. And then I transitioned into a role in higher ed at Brandeis University doing marketing and corporate relations. So that was like my first taste of marketing and what that was. And it was a big focus on content marketing. And it was 2015, the end of 2015, so 10 years ago, I started freelancing. And I decided I needed to make a big life change, and I moved abroad to Madrid, which was kind of crazy, shaking things up, just blow up your life moment. And I was freelancing there and really got a taste for marketing and just serving clients. And that's really how I got my start in marketing.
I love the story, and I love how bold and brave you were to move to a different country. And I think like right out of college, that's the time to do it. You know, there is no strings attached to where you are. Why not travel the world and do your thing? I'm sure in that time, you were kind of a unicorn by doing that because not a lot of people were taking that path. Nowadays, with the new kids graduating colleges, I feel like everyone is more open to this opportunity of moving to different country and doing things on their own. So I'm glad that you were the pathfinder pretty much for all of the new generation.
I will take it. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where as I was over there, I started to see more and more people doing it. I actually went on a volunteer trip to Costa Rica before I moved to Madrid, and it was my only time traveling alone. I cried the whole flight there because I was so nervous. But like once I got to Costa Rica, I met such amazing people. And one of the girls there was like, oh yeah, I lived in South Korea. I lived here, da, da, da. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So I will like credit her for kind of opening my eyes to the possibility. So it just traveling, you get to meet people who teach you so many things. And I feel like you just kind of collect different stories, different experiences, which has been my experience, which has been so invaluable.
My experience moving to United States was similar. I started my college experience in Ukraine where I grew up, and then I had an opportunity to go to Austria for a semester, and I did that and it was amazing. And I was like, oh my goodness, where do I go next? And then there was an opportunity to come and do the exchange program in US, and I did that, and then kind of the rest is the history, because after that I transferred, graduated. The second you get a taste of it, if you love traveling, of course, that would be your lifestyle pretty much moving forward. And it shaped who I am now. It shaped kind of the idea that it's okay to take these bold steps and go into unknown because there will be something beautiful on the other side.
100%. Couldn't agree more. I moved to New York a year and a half ago, and similar kind of thing. Obviously, New York is not a different country. I was in the Boston area, but from living in the suburbs of Boston to New York City, it feels like a different planet sometimes. But yeah, so that I agree. You just got to keep moving, trying new things, meeting new people.
Yeah, no, New York could be its own country for sure because it's so different. Same as Miami. When you live here, it also seems like a completely different country from the rest of the US. So from now to then, so in that time you were freelancing and now you own an agency. When was that moment that you realized that you want to do something more than just solo work?
Yeah, so I was doing the solo work, and there were like a couple different realizations that led me to building the agency. One was, okay, I can do this full time. I can support myself. And luckily in Madrid, cost of living is a lot lower. So I was able to take a little bit more risk on. And while I was doing that work, I was working at co-working spaces and meeting new people. One of my really good friends was a graphic designer, and I met some web developers and some content experts. And so we started working on projects together, and I started hearing from clients who wanted work that they did. And I was like, oh, cool, we can all work together and do this. And then I was like, wait a second, this feels like an agency model, and I get to work with these really cool people that I'm friends with and whose work is really awesome. So that's kind of how the idea started. And I just was working under the name Cara Chatellier, wildly creative, I know. And one of the reasons I moved home in 2019 was because I wanted to focus more on business and grow it. So when I moved home, I decided, okay, I'm going to turn this into an agency, because one of the things I just preached to my clients all the time was you need to lean into your brand. You need to know exactly who you are. You need to thread the message of who you are through everything you do, every piece of content, every email, your website, social media. And then I realized I wasn't practicing what I preached. So I was like, okay, it's time. I got to get the logo, got to do the website. And so it was kind of taking my own advice and just leaning into the relationships I had made. It's kind of built itself around just making friends and meeting other creative people.
I was just interviewing a friend of mine who was in marketing field for the longest time, and then she switched to sales. And she was telling how different was to take your own advice, because you are teaching agents on how to sell and how to brand themselves and this and that, but then take your own playbook and apply to yourself. And it's a very different story because it gets personal, right? So
exactly. It's much easier to say it than to do it, right?
Oh yeah, so much easier. I can definitely speak to that as well. A lot of times I had a kind of vice versa, where I created a company name and created the logo and created everything. And I was hiding behind the logo for a while before I came out that was me, if that makes my story. And that also took a little bit of courage, because sometimes we like to be behind the scenes. You learn a lot about yourself too. So how did you find your first clients when you were starting out?
Well, funnily enough, so it was 2015 when I started freelancing, and I created a profile on Upwork. So Upwork is kind of ubiquitous now. Like, most people know what Upwork is. But back then, not many people did. And freelancing wasn't as common as it is now. So I put a profile on there. I remember my hourly rate. It was $20 because I wanted to get clients. So I put it really low, which one of the many lessons I learned, but I got a client and I was so excited to have a client on Upwork. Honestly, I don't know how easy it is to find clients now on Upwork. I think it's quite difficult, but at the time there was less competition. So I was able to get some through there, got some really great reviews, and kind of built a really nice profile on there at first.
So interesting. Oh, I've used Upwork a while back. I haven't used them recently, but a while back I would use them for resume writing. My mom was just starting in the US, her career, because she just moved from Ukraine, and we had to put together her resume. So, I did what I could. And then I'm like, I really think it needs some love from professionals. So that's kind of my experience with Upwork. And I think that to that level, like the copywriting probably still is very useful. Same with graphic design. Probably on web. Yes, I do not know how easy, because the prices are so low too. You're competing with people outside the US, where I think that's where it makes it more difficult to find good clients there now.
Completely. Yeah. I haven't used it for years. And I know that early on in my career in marketing, I was like writing articles about raising your rates on Upwork and getting clients on Upwork. And now I don't even know if any of that is worthwhile, because I think it's changed so much, unfortunately. But since my first clients, I've definitely got a lot of people through my website, networking, referrals, word of mouth, like all of those things have been really helpful. So for people starting out freelancing, I don't know if Upwork's the best place to do it, but it could be good to have a great profile on there and get a couple reviews, because then you could send people to your website too.
True. Yes. It's a starting point. Regardless of where you start, it's starting putting yourself out there and talking about what you do is what matters. My business is built on word of mouth and referrals right now as well. And I'm exploring different opportunities to start generating leads. One of the things that I've been using recently is LinkedIn, even for the podcast. That's how we connected, which that has been a great source for B2B still. I do find it a little more difficult with certain industries than others, like marketing people, right? This is who we interview, the agency owners, the chief marketing officers, marketing directors. It's much easier to find them on LinkedIn because we are active there just because of the nature of work we do. However, probably some industries are not as active. That's what I found. So you just have to find an avenue where your ideal client you would like to work with is. And face-to-face networking still works best. The old way of marketing yourself and going to events and meeting people and building relationship is still the best way to do it.
For sure. And I have a lot of clients that have like sales teams, right? And they are banging their heads against the wall doing cold emailing and cold calling. And you're having to think outside of the box and try new things and custom videos and care packages and getting to meet these people in person and going to conferences. And you just have to, we've made such like a digital world where cold emailing doesn't work anymore, barely. Cold calling is really difficult. So it's the really personalized touch is what's demanded.
I started my career from the very, very beginning, right out of college in B2B sales too, when I was in New York. And that lasted for a few months. And I was like, oh, this is so difficult. Like, you're so used to hearing no, no, no until you hear that first yes. But I think that was a good lesson as a business owner that, every no that you hear is taking you closer to the yes. That is important lesson of entrepreneurship. You just have to keep going, and if you don't quit, you'll be successful.
Not quitting, that's the hardest part, right?
Yep. So now that you lead a woman-run agency across 2 states, what values or systems have guided you while building and managing your team?
Yeah, I have 2 full-time employees and then a number of freelancers that I work with closely. But with my 2 employees, I'm in New York and they're both in Boston. We meet twice a week as a team and camera's always on. We usually spend the first 20 minutes just catching up and talking about life and how was your weekend and those type of things. And those meetings that we have twice a week are really important. We also have one-on-ones. I have one-on-ones with each employee every week. Because we're not seeing each other in person, I think it's so important to have that FaceTime, just video time, I guess it would be. And we also communicate a lot on Slack. And it's not always work-related things. We're also like quite friendly with each other. And that's really important to me because we have that distance, but it doesn't feel like a big distance because we've built a friendship and a great working relationship with each other. And with the freelancers, I always do try to like give assignments over the phone just to add that personal touch because email can feel cold and things get lost in translation. So I think that relationships from a colleague perspective and from a client perspective, just like making sure that people feel seen and heard and appreciated is the most important thing for keeping a team active and they actually care. And it's finding the right people.
Absolutely. I have a similar system with my team. We meet every Friday. We have a call and I try to make it as less work as possible because I constantly send them tasks and Slack communications about the tasks. So when it's a time to meet, it's usually just kind of fun conversation on what's going on in their lives. And I think that helps truly to show what type of leader you are because you have to care about people for them to care enough to stay in your business and do quality work in your business. We all know about quiet quitting and I've actually had experience with that. As much as I think it's the other person, I probably as a leader should have seen it sooner and made some changes to the way we communicate, etc. also sooner, right? So that being said, building a team, right? That also takes time and it also takes courage to hire your first full-time employee, your second full-time employee. As a business owner, there are various hats that we are wearing besides just doing marketing for clients. When was that pivotal moment in your career where you're like, okay, I'm ready to hire out whatever I am doing right now so I can focus on working on my business than in my business?
It was 2021, October. So I had been in business for about a year and a half when I transitioned my first full-time employee from a part-time employee, Isabel. So she's still with me. So she's been with me for a long time, almost the entire time I've had Bubbly, which is crazy. And we had such a good working relationship. We just understood each other so well. We have a lot in common as far as strengths. And I just felt like there is a difference between being a freelancer and working for a client and being an employee, because there's a lot more buy-in, because you feel more loyalty, a more sense of responsibility. And I really thought she deserved to feel that with Bubbly. And I was excited to have her be a part of my one-person team. So she came on, and I think with 6 months after that, we hired Liv, who is now my other full-time employee. And she started part-time and then transitioned to full-time. Just the client load started to feel as such where I was like, okay, I'm doing way too much. I'm burning out and I need to start outsourcing more. And as a business owner, you often take on too much and you have too much control over everything. So the delegation piece, if you don't do it, then you burn out. So you need to start delegating. And that's a tough lesson to learn because it doesn't always go the way you want. But if you build up enough trust, you can hope that it'll go well.
I totally agree with that. It takes a lot of courage to delegate, especially the client communication and account management side of things. Yes, you delegate like the graphic design, etc., but you still like that quality control before it goes out to a client. And then also receiving the requests. I think that was the hardest lesson for me to learn, not to be the bottleneck between that, because you have so much to review and tweak and request and talk. The biggest lesson of 2025 for me is not to be a bottleneck of my own business. You just have to really trust and build your team, really train your team on the quality level that you want things to be. And then it will not be always ideal. There will be mistakes because we all made them. I still remember the very first mistake that we've made with my corporate career in marketing. That's a story for another day, but we all did that, right?
Oh, completely.
And in the end of the day, we're not saving lives. It's like marketing is important. It's very important to clients. This is the businesses that we've built, but you have to have a little bit fun with that and humor when the mistakes do happen, because they will. It's just inevitable. Nothing could be perfect at all times.
It's bound to happen.
Right. And it's also finding clients that understand that is also a big deal, because if you are working with someone who is a perfectionist, sometimes it just gives way too much stress on you and your team, because you project that stress that maybe it's not the right client. Maybe it is not aligned with your business goals and your business. And it's easier to find a replacement for that client that is more aligned than trying to keep that client happy.
Totally. And if there's like a high production client too, like they need a lot of things, done is better than perfect, right? Like something that I definitely live by.
A quick break to let you know, if you are craving real conversations about what's actually working in marketing and what's not, come join us inside the Marketing Your Way community. It's a free space for women in marketing and creative roles who want to grow, connect, and explore what's next in their careers. Inside the group, we share industry news, unpack trends, explore how different roles are using AI to simplify and streamline their work, and we bounce ideas around from campaign strategies to career shifts. Whether you are freelancing, leading a team, or quietly wondering what else might be out there, you'll find women here who get it. Go to marketingyourwaypodcast.com/community or tap the link in the show notes to join us. I can't wait to see you inside. I had a client this week. She likes to review everything, which I really appreciate when clients are doing that, because it just helps with the quality control. And this time around, like we've been working together for 4 years now. Yes, so a long time. And she's like, I'm on vacation, I'm on the beach, and I just want to relax. So go ahead and approve everything and schedule everything. But it took her 4 years to do that, And I have clients also that were like, we trust you, just do whatever you need to do. I don't want to see anything unless I ask you for some type of support. But our typical day-to-day operations, please just post, schedule, send it out. I don't want to see it. So you have two different type of clients. But when the clients come around and give you that type of support, you feel, I felt really pressured. I'm like, let me just double check everything is right
Yes. Oh my God.
before I get it all out,
Yes.
So it's a mix.
Totally. Exactly. Like there are some clients who want to look at everything fine tooth comb and others that are like, nah, you're good. I trust you. And we love both of them equally.
Exactly, right? So to that point, have you ever had a moment where you had to let go of a client?
I have. It's tricky because it's tough for me. I'm a little bit of a people pleaser, which makes my job harder a lot of times because I want to make sure that every client is super happy and that I'm delivering the best possible. But this was early on in my freelancing career where I felt like things were getting a little toxic, where I was meeting every objective, but it was just like the tiniest little things just like weren't sitting well with them, or it like felt like almost like abusive after a certain point where you're like, this isn't healthy for me. And I can withstand a good amount, but I was like, okay. And unfortunately, this relationship isn't working for me. I do have to stop our contract, which was really difficult. But afterward, you feel that weight lifted. And it's so amazing because you're like, okay, yeah, not worth it. And then something else comes along and you're like, oh, I needed to free up this space to get this other client who actually appreciates me.
I've had very similar experience where I was like going above and beyond for this new client that I just signed. And then it just never felt like it was enough. Like there was like 500 emails and it was one of the smaller budget clients, but it was just so much pressure to do all kinds of things. And then I had to let go. We didn't even finish the first month and I reimbursed the money. And I was like, I just really don't think it's a good fit. And it really does free up a lot of space. It takes courage to do that because you're like, oh, but let's just hold on a little longer. Maybe when I get this new client, then I'll let go of this client. But at the end of the day, it was the best decision I've ever made. There was something that happened in the corporate life, maybe that you're like, okay, I want to go away with that from that. I do not want that to be part of my life. And I want to kind of have control over my business or over my career. And then when that happens, when you start a business, sometimes even unintentionally, subconsciously, you kind of project that same culture on your own business and you start working overtime and you start taking on wrong clients just because it has to do with the scarcity mindset. Maybe it has to do, oh, like when is the next client coming? Because that's what's paying bills now, right? So if you have a side hustle, this is like a fun extra money that you're like, oh, now I have this extra thing happening. But this is actually paying bills now. And it was an interesting moment in my career, I remember, where I had to be like, okay, I am building a business for my life. I don't want this business to run my life because I created a toxic culture for myself. I'm my worst boss, like having so much pressure on myself for whatever we are doing. It took some time to realize and reprogram and redo things in order to make the business work for your lifestyle, right?
Totally. I think one of the things I learned early on, I remember one client in particular, when I was still living in Madrid, they got on a phone call with me and it was an architecture firm and it was a woman. And she was just like, okay, explain to me why I need this. And I was like, no. I'm not going to do that because either you see the value in content and digital marketing or you don't. Because you either want to work with a marketing agency or you don't. And I think if there's someone who you're constantly going to be fighting with to show them the value you bring, either they get it early on before they sign on to be a client or they don't. And I go a lot with gut feel with new clients. Because if you feel comfortable, they're excited, or if you're pulling teeth, they are only there because they have to be. It's not worth it. Walk away. Knowing in your gut and having the courage to walk away, even if it does feel like you don't know when the next client's going to come. It's usually when you do walk away, the next best thing comes around.
I agree 100%. I think that's our superpower as women, where we do have that gut feeling and instinct much more prominent than men. And when we try to do things masculine way, like hard knocking and all of that, it just feels very unnatural to us. And I have to really lean into that feminine side of running a business and knowing that if the gut says no, it means no, and do not even try to go there because you will pay for it later. So yeah, I think that's our superpower.
I agree. One of my clients is an OBGYN practice and they have multiple offices. So they have 100 providers. They reached out and they're like, we need help with marketing. And I was looking at their website and I was like, did a man design this? This does not speak to women in any way. It's so clinical. Think about an OBGYN. You are delivering a baby. Like a lot of these people are delivering babies. You need to build trust. You need to show real people. You need to have a personalized touch so people feel like they can go to you and feel safe and taken care of. Because in addition to delivering a child, which is incredibly vulnerable, you're also dealing with menopause and teens getting their first pap smear and things that are so intense that it's like, if you're going to this website that it's all stock photos, you don't see any of the doctors, any of the providers. They're an all-female obstetric provider, and that was nowhere on the site. I was like, you need to work with a women-owned firm. Let's go. We're ready to make this personal. Start telling stories. Get your beautiful smiling faces up there and show real patient-doctor interaction. And that was such a game changer for them. But it's interesting because you don't know what you don't know, right? You just like, I want to outsource marketing. I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to check these boxes, website, boom. Someone who really gets to know you and know your clientele. Because if you're reaching a female clientele, it is much different than me reaching a male clientele.
As a business owner, you do have to have a little bit of a marketing knowledge in order to make that right decision for your business. And the example you just told us, like we know we have to have a website, but does it speak to us? There's no storytelling. There's the story brand by Brand Miller, like where the person who is going to your website is the hero. I think that's where like our marketing is leaning towards, where we're trying to find us every time we go to anywhere. Okay, is this for me or is this for someone else?
Totally. And I mean, along those lines with the Bubbly Creative, our branding, I love pink. I'm a very girly. And at first, when I was like showing friends the logo, I had a couple different like color concepts. And one of my friends was like, you don't want to do pink. It'll turn off male customers. And I was like, I do want to do pink. Because it's authentic to me and to who we work with and my team. I was really proud of myself for not backing down on that too.
Well, my logo and everything for podcast has pink and purple in it, right? And at the same time, I run an agency, which is the real estate marketing agency, and I also do the podcast that's for females. It was an interesting mix when I tried to do the LinkedIn profile. I'll tell you that, because the real estate industry is, especially the development real estate, is very male dominated industry. Definitely truth to choosing your colors and branding. So yes, I'm trying to build something more neutral for LinkedIn. For my podcast, absolutely all pink. I love it. And it's just, you lean in towards your feminine energy, which I think is important. Let's talk about email marketing. If you're over clunky platforms and wasting hours designing emails, it's time for a change. Meet Flowdesk, the easiest, most beautiful email marketing tool out there. Stunning templates, simple automation, no limits on subscribers or emails. And the best part, you get 50% off your first year. That's just $19 a month. Grab your deal now at marketingyourwaypodcast.com/Flowdesk. It's marketingyourwaypodcast.com/FLODESK. So you talk a lot about keeping marketing simple and fun. Can you share a few of your favorite tiny marketing fixes that actually move the needle for your clients?
Whenever we do a marketing strategy for clients, we always start with like a deep dive. So we do a 2-hour deep dive. And one of my favorite things to provide is like low hanging fruit. So here's some things you can do right now to move the needle. A lot of times people sleep on Google Business. And so like having your Google Business listing and taking advantage of all of the places where you can put information about yourself, where you can add pictures of your business, pictures of you with clients or customers, getting reviews from people. You can post on Google Business like it's a social platform. And I think people aren't doing that as much as they should, because let's be real, Google runs the internet. So anything you can do to please her is great. We also call ChatGPT a girl, so we're always like, "Oh, what'd she say?" So
That's funny.
calling Google her, but yeah, I think things like that, like that's a tiny one. If you can afford it, a custom photo shoot, like really leaning into a custom photo shoot, updating the photos on your website, your social, Google Business. Having someone who can help you creative direct a photo shoot. First of all, they're so fun. I know not everyone likes getting their photo taken, but a photo shoot will really just like warm people up to you, and it just helps people get to know who you are and what you do. So showing face, being yourself, being authentic in a social post, in a video, things like that people hate doing, but it's so impactful. Another tiny little fix is writing a blog about your founder story. People love that. People want to hear about you. They want to get to know you. Post like that on LinkedIn too.
Absolutely. I can see that myself, because I told you at the beginning that I was hiding behind the name more than anything. And then when you start posting as a person and showing who is behind the business, it made all the difference in the world.
It totally depends on the nature of your business. Like if it is product based, you definitely want to showcase the product. But if you're starting out small, people want to know who's making the product. People want to know who's serving them, and just really working on that compelling story, why you do what you do. People just want to know that.
Exactly. I know that ChatGPT is a girl, so now...
Hi, girl.
Yes. So how are you using tools like ChatGPT that keeps your brand voice human and aligned?
Definitely. So I think this is becoming ChatGPT. Love it. She's been great as a supplement to our work. I think there's elements that are a little scary, and there's elements that are like incredibly cool. But one of the things we do is we work with projects a lot of times. So in ChatGPT, and we have a couple clients that have podcasts or that have meetings that we transcribe, and we use those transcripts. And the transcripts really help us to capture brand voice. And if you stay in a project and keep uploading transcripts, they just get to know like the cadence of how you speak, some of the vocabulary you use, and like feeding a lot of information in there and keeping it within the individual threads really helps to stay authentic, and giving feedback, like very specific feedback, like, hey, I would never say X, Y, and Z, da, 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 da. This person would never say that. Make sure you never use this word. Let's warm this up a little bit. And those things I've found, transcripts for me is number one, because even after this, like we have this pod and we can transcribe it, write blog content, all those things. But it's just further examples for ChatGPT to know how we speak and some of the stories we tell and those type of things. But always with human intervention. I think we don't want to be writing blogs that are completely ChatGPT. It's good as an idea generator. Right now, it's not going to beat an actual human, but it's good for like menial tasks. It's written code for me. It does all sorts of things. It's truly amazing, but keeping things authentic and having that human voice, it's transcripts for me all the way.
I love what you're saying. So the way I use it in my business is also having different projects for different things. Clearly, labeling that this is for the podcast, this is for the agency, and this is for my clients of the agency, right? So you have projects per each. So you keep everything and the voice flow. But I do love the transcript situation because I haven't really used that for the clients. I do use it a lot for the podcast, of course, but the client idea and having our meetings transcribed and uploaded just to get that voice is important. So thank you. I love that idea. I love learning all the time. Another training I just took on SEO and how that is changing because of ChatGPT and all of the AI tools. We are searching anything on Google, it comes up. The AI results plus the little links to where they took it from. It is important to have all of your things still updated and the blogging is not dead. The one thing that this lady said that I thought it was interesting is that it's not about the keywords that much anymore. It's about answering the right questions with your blogs, right? And also making sure that those questions are within your blog or your headers or your subheads, because that's what the language models are looking for when they're doing all the AI or reviews on top.
Definitely. Yeah, we've had some clients recently that have gotten in those AI search results and it's been really great.
What are you reading, listening, learning from right now that's inspiring you?
Yeah, I'm not great at reading business books. I love reading for pleasure. I have a goal this year to read 100 books. I'm not halfway, and I'm lying. My goal is to read 50 books. I'm sorry. 100 is crazy. I'm trying to read 50.
Okay.
And I'm not very far, but I am training for a marathon. So I feel like I'll listen to a lot of audiobooks. So that'll be good.
Oh, that's great. Mixing business and pleasure.
Exactly. So I have a coach that I'm working with right now, and that's been really helpful. And he has a podcast, an agency story. So I do listen to that. And I do a lot on social, engaging on LinkedIn, newsletters from people that I trust, which has been really influential for me. But yeah, I think talking to other business owners like yourself and other marketers, and there's a group in New York called Sparklers, and I'm in that, and talking to the women in there has been great. The North Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, there's always a lot of insight there. So keeping it kind of local and really tight with other agency owners is how I'm getting a lot of my insight lately.
I love that. There was a moment in my life where I've been all about the self-development books. And then I got pregnant with my second daughter. And I was like, I don't want to read any self-development book right now. Like all I want is like the rom-coms and like just something very light. And that's where Emily Henry came in hand. I read every single book of Emily Henry that she wrote by that day that I was pregnant. And that was that. And after that, I haven't picked up another rom-com book, but that was the moment of my life just to relax.
You just need a little fluff in your life.
Exactly. And I would like inhale those books too. I was like, wow, I like cannot even stop. I have to keep going. A quick break to let you know, if you are craving real conversations about what's actually working in marketing and what's not, come join us inside the Marketing Your Way community. It's a free space for women in marketing and creative roles who want to grow, connect, and explore what's next in their careers. Inside the group, we share industry news, unpack trends, explore how different roles are using AI to simplify and streamline their work, and we bounce ideas around from campaign strategies to career shifts. Whether you are freelancing, leading a team, or quietly wondering what else might be out there, you'll find women here who get it. Go to marketingyourwaypodcast.com/community or tap the link in the show notes to join us. I can't wait to see you inside. What is your personal definition of success? That's the question I ask every single person I interview because I think it's a different definition for every single person.
For sure. A life that's full of love and happiness and freedom. And I think with freedom, that's the tie-in for business for me, because money buys you freedom, but you also need freedom of time to be able to do what you want to do, go where you want to go. So having people around you who love and support you, who you love and support, being happy both in your work and your outside life, keeping yourself growing and, developing always, and then having the freedom from a financial and time perspective.
Absolutely. I think that's the goal of life, right? To have all of the freedom to do things you love. So, Cara, where can our listeners find you? And if we have any female-owned businesses that listen to us, how they can hire Bubbly Creative to do the intentional marketing work that you do?
Yeah, so bubblycreative.com, Bubbly Creative on Facebook and LinkedIn, and on Instagram, it's Bubbly Creative MA. And then I'm Cara Chatellier on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect. And hiring us, we work on retainers, so we are accepting new clients.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Cara. This was an amazing conversation. I think that our listeners would take a lot from it, and thank you again for your time.
Oh, thank you. I loved it.
And that's it for today's episode of the Marketing Your Way podcast. I hope you're walking away with fresh ideas, new insights, and the confidence to take your next step. If this episode spoke to you, please take a moment to leave a review. It helps more women in marketing find the show and build a marketing career on their terms. And hey, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Until next time, keep building your marketing career your way.